Welcome back on Business Tonight. Time for Superstar Achievers, the young people who've made it big, scaled up and turned around. One such person, his company we all touch and feel every day.
That's right. Tonight on Superstar Achievers, we've got VSS Money, founder and CEO of Justdial. Take a look at his story.
Starting with just 50,000 rupees and 5 people on board, VSS Money has built a business that's grown to over 4,000 employees. From Jamshedpur, Money realized there is an entrepreneur in him when he made his first sale in his early teens. Money has changed the process of searching for handy phone numbers with Justdial. Having launched his local service engine in North America, Money's dream is to make it the #1 global search engine.
And VSS Money joins us on Business Now. Thanks for talking to us. You dropped out of doing a CA and then decided to opt for a startup instead. Why would you do that? What was the thought behind that decision?
When I took up CA, there was no intention to drop out. The idea was to become a flourishing chartered accountant actually. But then circumstances made me quit, not exactly quit CA, but continue doing CA, but take up a sales job to kind of help family with some income. And while working for the sales job, within a few months I forgot about my CA and pursued work for a Yellow Page company actually back then. And 2 years of working there, when you meet so many different entrepreneurs selling space in a Yellow Page directory, you pick their brain and wonder why can't you become an entrepreneur. And that's how I turned an entrepreneur and started a company which is very much similar to Justdial back then, but it didn't survive beyond 2.5 years, so I kind of moved out.
Right, so how did Justdial happen? It surely wasn't a case of instant success. You did have to deal with a fair amount of failure to start with?
Well, mine is a very unique case because I've had many attempts at entrepreneurship and failed also. So first attempt was to start something like a Justdial with 2 other friends, and as I said, it didn't survive beyond 2.5 years. Then I gifted my shares to one of my senior shareholders and then moved out, and the idea was like either take up a job or do another small business to survive. Well, once you get bitten by the entrepreneurial bug, you don't want to take up a job. So I did a small time, another 2 year in a small entrepreneurial stuff. Then even that was in partnership, moved out of that and started all over again with another 2 years I spent on publishing a magazine, and then finally got to launch Justdial in '96.
So 96 it was, it's very interesting. You said a lot of hit and try, and you kept sort of getting back by doing something different, hoping that you'll hit the jackpot. But instead, eventually you hit Justdial. Now tell us about the failures that you saw after Justdial started and the lessons you learned from those stories.
Every failure you learn. One is of course timing. A very important thing for an entrepreneur is like sometimes you are brilliant, your ideas are great, but if the timing is wrong, market is not ready with it, you definitely going to not succeed. You may perhaps put a lot more resource to work to see a little success.
No, so timing is everything, as you said, but what would you today advise some of the people who are watching you right now and want to understand as a young entrepreneur, and we've got plenty around in India today, what should they think before entering any business?
First of all, I would only advise people, take the plunge only if you truly believe that you can become an entrepreneur, and you also need to believe in the idea that it is. You don't try to copycat someone else's idea. You're more likely to not to succeed. But if you have an idea which is even doing better what someone else is doing, definitely take the plunge and never give up, because entrepreneurship is not an easy sale for you, because at some point or other you're constantly going to see challenges, hindrances, and if you have the patience, if you're constantly looking at each challenge as an opportunity and coming out with creative solutions, out of box thinking, you're definitely going to succeed.
Right, let's talk a bit more about Justdial. There's just been a fresh round of equity infusion in your company earlier this week. Take us through the details. Who were the investors and how much did they invest?
Yeah, recently we had a tiny stake taken by if you're familiar, SAP as a venture arm. and they have invested with us, and our existing investors, Sequoia Capital, they have another entity which has also invested. These two has been successful, and they've been very happy with our investments.
Right, I understand you're not in a position to disclose the exact details of this transaction, but would you require additional funds after this round of equity infusion? Will you be looking at an IPO going forward?
You know, we are a high growth company, so we're constantly looking at various means to raise money, and so as I said, going public could be an option.
Well, where do you see the company 10 years from now? I know you're being very cagey about sharing more financial details. I guess that's true, especially when you got new money and new investors. But what is the story of the market cap target?
10 years from now, Just Dial will be the destination for local search globally, not just in India. Definitely in the English-speaking countries. And our hybrid model that we have, where there's a voice, there is web, and there is apps, and the mobile applications, you will see that Just Dial will be a rocking local search company.
You once sold a watch to a relative when you were 10. Is the salesman and you alive since then? Tell us about that story. Was there a young entrepreneur growing up?
Oh yeah, this is like, probably I was 14 years of age, and there was this friend of mine. He was actually dealing in watches, and he was actually trading in our school. As I said, well, let me try it on my family, and actually tried it on one of my uncle, and I was successful and made $10 actually. I think that was the first entrepreneurial initiative that I did, and then since then in my teens I did a couple of others also.
Right, you've also just recently roped in Amitabh Bachchan as your brand ambassador. Not many of our viewers would probably be aware of that. You're yet to launch that campaign. How do you think he fits into the Just Dial story?
Well, I'm definitely a very big fan of Mr. Bachchan for many reasons. He's a super achiever, he's a super human being, and there are things so much to learn from him. Particularly, we took Mr. Bachchan because we wanted a particular brand icon who can actually relate to age group from 5 to 75, and there was only one name in India which could qualify for that. That was Mr. Amitabh Bachchan, and no one else could take that position. And secondly, we wanted a personality which could be recognized by the length and breadth of India, from North India or West or East or South. And there again, we had Mr. Bachchan scoring very high. Okay,
so Mr. Bachchan it is now for Just Dial. I guess that's probably one of the few brands where he would turn around and say, "Lock kar diya jaye." Well, that said, new applications are something that will probably add value to Just Dial and to your services. Are you exploring some new stuff? Perhaps our viewers can use some of that news.
In the current mobile version, there are features like Near Me. If you use it, like if you search and say Near Me, and you'll actually get restaurants near you, chemists near you, whatever you're looking for. These apps are going to be making your experience far more richer. Now, as we see that, all users are going to shift to smartphones sometime or other. Rather, there would be featured phones more like smartphones. And hence, we are giving these Android apps and iPhone apps and BlackBerry and also Windows apps. So pretty much covers almost 80% of the market, and once you download these apps, your user experience is going to be far more better, and it's going to be, we can show rich content to you on a cell phone.
VSS Money, pleasure chatting with you. Great to have you on the show talking about your entrepreneurial journey there. Okay, time for a short break here in Business Tonight. Up ahead, the big national story of the day.